Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and this is part 3 of Mitch Albom's The 5 People You Meet in Heaven. If you are just joining me in this video, you have to catch up with the story. Doesn't mean that you can't watch this video, but you don't know the backstory unless you watch from part 1 and then continue with part 2. Part 3 is going to be as long as I feel like it because yesterday's video, a lot of the chapters were shorter than the first one, so the video is probably a little longer than the first video, but what the hell. This is starting with chapter 5, the first lesson. Please, mister, Eddie pleaded. I didn't know. Believe me. God help me. I did not know. The blue man nodded. You couldn't know. You were too young. Eddie stepped back. He squared his body as if bracing for a fight. But now I gotta pay, he said. To pay? For my sin. That's why I'm here, right? Justice? The blue man smiled. No, Edward. You are here so I can teach you something. All of the people you meet here have one thing to teach you. Eddie was skeptical. His fists stayed clenched. What? He said. That there are no random acts, that we are all connected, that you can no more separate one life from another, that you can separate a breeze from the wind. And he shook his head. We were throwing a ball. It was my stupidity running out there like that. Why should you have to die on account of me? It isn't fair. The blue man held out his hand. Fairness, he said, does not govern life and death. If it did, no good person would ever die young. He rolled his palm upward, and suddenly they were standing in a cemetery behind a small group of mourners, a priest by a gravesite reading from a Bible. Eddie could not see the faces, only the backs of hats and dresses and suit coats. My funeral, the blue man said. Look at the mourners. Some did not even know me well. Yet they came. Why? Did you ever wonder? Why do people gather when others die? Why do people feel they should? It is the human spirit knows deep down that all lives intersect. That death doesn't just take someone. It misses someone else. And in the small distance between being and taking and being missed, lives are changed. You say you should have died instead of me. But during my time on Earth, people died instead of me too. It happens every day. When lightning strikes a minute after you were gone, or an airplane crashes that you might have been on, when your colleague falls ill and you do not, we think such things are random. But there is a balance to it all. One withers, another grows. Birth and death are part of a whole. It is why we are drawn to babies. He turned to the mourners and to funerals. And he looked again at the gravesite gathering. He wondered if he had a funeral. He wondered if anyone came. He saw the priest reading from the Bible and the mourners lowering their heads. This was the day that the Blue Man had been buried, all those years ago. Eddie had been there, a little boy, fidgeting through the ceremony with no idea of the role he had played in it. I still don't understand, Eddie whispered. What good came from your death? You lived, the Blue Man answered. But we barely knew each other. I might as well have been a stranger. The Blue Man put his arms around Eddie's shoulders. Eddie felt that warm, melting sensation. Strangers, the Blue Man said, are just family you have yet to come to know. With that, the Blue Man pulled Eddie close instantly. Eddie felt everything the Blue Man had felt in his life rushing into him, swimming in his body, the loneliness, the shame, the nervousness, the heart attack. It slid into Eddie like a drawer being closed. I am leaving, the Blue Man whispered in his ear. This step of heaven is over for me, but there are others for you to meet. Wait, Eddie said, pulling back. Just tell me one thing. Did I save the little girl at the pier? Did I save her? The Blue Man did not answer. Eddie slumped. Then my death was a waste. Just like my life. No life is a waste, the Blue Man said. The only time we waste is the time we spend thinking we are alone. He stepped back towards the gravesite and smiled. And as he did, his skin turned to the loveliest shade of caramel, smooth and unblemished. It was, Eddie thought, the most perfect skin he had ever seen. Wait! Eddie yelled, but he was suddenly whisked into the air, away from the ceremony. Soaring above the great gray ocean, below him he saw the rooftops of Old Ruby Pier, the spears and turrets, the flags flapping in the breeze. Then it was gone. Sunday, 3 p.m. Back at the pier, the crowd stood silently around the wreckage of Freddy's freefall. Old women touched their throats. Mothers pulled their children away. Several burly men in tank tops slid to the front as if this was something they should handle, but once they got there, they too only looked on, helpless. The sun baked down, sharpening the shadows, causing them to shield their eyes as if they were saluting. How bad is it? People whispered from the back of the crowd. Dominguez burst through, his face red, his maintenance shirt drenched in sweat. He saw the carnage. Oh no, oh no, hey, he moaned, grabbing his hand. Security workers arrived. They pushed people back, but then they too fell into impotent postures, hands on their hips, waiting for the ambulances. It was as if all of them, the mothers, the fathers, the kids, with their giant gulp soda cups, were too stunned to look and too stunned to leave. Death was at their feet. As the carnival tune played over the park speakers, how bad was it? Sirens sounded. Men in uniforms arrived. Yellow tape was stretched around the area. The arcade booths pulled down their crates. The rides were closed indefinitely. Word spread across the beach that the bad thing that had happened by the sunset, Ruby Pier was empty. Today is A's birthday. From his bedroom, even with the door locked, Eddie could smell the beefsteak his mother was grilling with green peppers and sweet red onions. A strong, woody odor.
Hey, can you do me a favor, please? Can you run down and get me some diapers? Please, they're on the buffet table. Thank you, sweetie.
Anyway, where was I? Right. Today's A's birthday. From his bedroom, even with his door closed, Eddie could smell the beefsteak his mother was grilling with green peppers and sweet red onions, a strong, woody odor that he loves. Eddie, she yells from the kitchen, where are you? Everyone's here. He rolls off the bed and puts away the comic book. He is 17 today, too old for such things, but still enjoys the idea. Colorful heroes like the Phantom, fighting the bad guys, saving the world. He has given his collection to his school-age cousin from Romania who came to America a few months earlier. Eddie's family met them at the docks, and they moved into a bedroom that Eddie shared with his brother Joe. The cousins cannot speak English, but they like comic books anyhow. It gives Eddie an excuse to keep them around. There's the birthday boy, his mother crows, rambles into the room. He wears a button-down white shirt and a blue tie, which pinches his muscular neck. A grunt of hellos and raised beer glasses come from the assembled visitors, family, friends, peer workers. Eddie's father is playing cards in the corner. in a small cloud of cigar smoke. Hey Ma, guess what? Joe yells out. Eddie met a girl last night. Oh, did he? Eddie feels a rush of blood. Yeah, said he's gonna marry her. Shut your trap, Eddie says to Joe. Joe ignores him. Yep, he came into the room all googly eyed and he said, Joe, I met the girl I'm gonna marry. Eddie, see this. I said, shut it. What's her name, Eddie? Someone asks. Does she go to church? Eddie goes to his brother and socks him in the arm. Ow! Eddie, I told you to shut it. Joe burst out, and he danced with her at the strand. Whack! Ow! Shut up! Eddie, stop that. Even the Romanian cousins looked up now. Fighting, they understand, as the two brothers grab each other and flail away, clearing the couch until Eddie's father puts a cigar and yells, knock it off before I slap the both of yous. The brothers separate, panting and glaring. Some older relatives smile. One of the aunts whispers, he must really like this girl. Later, after the special steak had been eaten and the candles have been blown out and most of the guests have gone home, Eddie's mother turns on the radio. There is news about the war in Europe, and Eddie's father says something about lumber and copper wire being hard to get if things get worse. That will make maintenance of the park nearly impossible. Such awful news, Eddie's mother says. Not at a birthday. She turns the dial until a small box offers music and orchestra, playing a swing medley, and she smiles and hums along. Then she comes over to Eddie, who is slouched in his chair, picking at the last pieces of the cake. She removes her apron, folds it over a chair, and lifts Eddie by the hands. Show me how you danced with your new friend, she says. Aw, Ma, come on. Eddie stands as if he is led to his execution. His brother smirks, but his mother, with her pretty round face, keeps humming and stepping back and forth until Eddie falls into a dance step with her. Da-da-dee, she sings the melody. When you're with me, da-da, the stars and the moon, the da-da-da in June. They move around the living room until Eddie breaks down and laughs. He is already taller than his mother by a good 6 inches. Then she twirls him with these. So, she whispered, you like this girl? Eddie loses a step. It's all right, she says. I'm happy for you. They spin to the table, and Eddie's mother grabs Joe and pulls him up. Now you two dance, she says. With him? Ma! But she insists, and they relent, and soon Joe and Eddie are laughing and stumbling into each other. They join hands and move, swooping up and down in exaggerated circles. Around and around the table they go, to their mother's delight. As the clarinets lead the radio medley and the Romanian cousins clap along, and the final wisp of grilled steak evaporate into the party air. What is this one? I'll get into it here tonight. I will continue tomorrow night with the second person Eddie meets in heaven. I'm winded. I hope you guys like this story so far. It's, as I said, it's one of my favorites. And watch my other two videos of this book, part 1 and part 2, so you know how we got up to this point. See you guys.